languages are not about being perfect, but about communication. I encourage teachers to use English in their classes, even if they feel like it's not going to be perfect.
And I want you to look at the vowels, student. In English, you have a, e, I, right? So you have a wide variety of vowels, and it really is a big challenge.
But the concept of, is it ikigai? It's a really interesting concept, this idea of passion and doing well and kind of this sense of purpose.
Hi, teachers of English and students learning English. It's nice to be with you today. My name is Carleen Velez, and I am coming to you today from Tokyo, Japan, where I'm visiting. It's nice to meet you.
And hi, I'm Claire. I'm an English Language Fellow based here in Tokyo, Japan.
So Claire, what is an English Language Fellow?
Well, there are English Language Fellows all around the world that were placed there with different embassies, US embassies, and we do lots of different things. But our primary goal is to support English language education. So what I do in Tokyo is I work with the Tokyo Metropolitan Board of Education to provide professional development and training for teachers, Japanese teachers of English. That's my primary role. But I have a chance to meet teachers all around Japan, and it's a lot of fun because I get to support English education here.
Wow, that's great. It's nice that you get to move outside of Tokyo to meet so many different types of teachers.
Yeah, it's really great to not just meet, junior high school and high school teachers, but even elementary school teachers and university professors as well.
Wow, that's great. Thank you for sharing that.
So tell me, what is a RELO?
So my job is a regional English language officer. It's a lot of words there, but what a regional English language officer is a person who works in the public affairs section of an embassy, and we use English language programs as a way to promote people-to-people exchange between the United States and the countries we're working in. First word of my title is regional, so that means that I work in multiple different countries. I actually live and work at the US Embassy in the Philippines, but I also frequently reach out to Japan and visit the embassy here to help support English language programs that can make the connection between the United States and Japanese people even stronger.
That's great. So you said there are many different countries you work with.
Yes.
What are some of the countries that you work with?
So I work with the Philippines, of course, and Brunei, and then Japan, Taiwan, South Korea, and the Pacific Islands. So I have quite a large region, and it's wonderful because the teachers and the students are different in every place that I'm in. So my job is always interesting and full of surprises.
That sounds really exciting.
Yeah, it's great. You've been in Japan, I know, 1 year already, and this is your second year. So what has been your favorite experience in Japan so far?
That's a great question. I think one of my favorite experiences was being able to run a course with some of the Japanese teachers of English here in Tokyo. And that was over the course of 3 months. They worked on the course online to learn about how to become better English teachers, and then we met in person to do some workshops. And one of my favorite events was the graduation, where we had people from the Board of Education, teachers who had completed the course, meeting here together in Tokyo, actually specifically WeWork, and it was just a wonderful celebration and just an exciting event and opportunity for them to network. And yeah, I really, really enjoyed that. It just felt like the end of a really great, just exciting adventure.
Mm-hmm. And how nice for those teachers after 3 months or more of hard work to be able to celebrate their accomplishments.
Yeah, exactly.
I know teachers are very busy, but the fact that they did this on top of it and completed it is such an accomplishment.
Yeah, I was so impressed by their dedication and commitment, and I just really have so much respect for teachers here in Japan.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
What is your favorite Japanese word or phrase?
I've been thinking about that a lot because there are a lot of great words and phrases that don't translate well across languages. And probably my favorite one is shikata ga nai, because there are so many times when you think you can control things, but really just nothing can be done about the situation. And there are so many times when something happens in my life and the first thing that comes to my mind is shikata ga nai. And everyone's like, what does that mean? And I think about it and I'm like, well, nothing can be done, but it doesn't have a good translation. It's really, shikata ga nai is the perfect way of expressing that emotion or that feeling when something is a little bit out of your control, but you have to just accept it and move on with your life.
What a great phrase.
It's a great phrase. I just wish everyone understood that phrase because then we could use it more. Do you have a favorite phrase?
I do. So this was something I actually learned before I came to Tokyo, but the concept of, is it ikigai? It's a really interesting concept, this idea of passion and doing well and kind of this sense of purpose. And it's a little bit how I feel about my work here is I love what I do and I wake up and I'm so excited to do what I do. And so I feel like I found my ikigai here in Japan, which is really great.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm glad that you did that.
What about you? What has been your favorite experience in Japan? And maybe you can share a little bit. I know you've had some time in Japan, not just visiting in your position as a RELO, but earlier as well.
Exactly. So I've been coming back and forth to Japan for many, many years, and it seems like each piece of my life, I come back to Japan. I was here as a high school exchange student, university exchange student, graduate exchange student. But the experience I want to talk about now is not my work, but it was when I came back as a Fulbright scholar. So when I was a Fulbright scholar, I was a university professor at the University of California in Los Angeles, or UCLA, and I did a one-semester exchange at the University of Ryukyu in Okinawa. The thing that made that experience so special, in addition to meeting all of the students and learning a new part of Japanese culture, because it's somewhat different than it is in the Tokyo area, it was bringing my children with me and allowing them to have their first 6-month exchange, go to a Japanese international school, experience Japanese culture, Japanese food. And to me, it just made me overflow with happiness because I had had so many great memories in Japan over the year, but to be able to allow my kids to understand why I enjoy coming back to Japan and being able to meet the people around us was such a special time. So I think by far bringing my kids to Okinawa for a semester was my favorite experience.
Yeah, what a great opportunity for them, and how nice for you to be able to share that part of your life with them.
Yes, and now they keep wanting to come back, which is exciting. Maybe there'll be students here someday at the university.
Yeah.
That's always my hope. Speaking of students and teachers, they always go together. I'm curious on your end, you work with teachers a lot, you said. And do you have any advice for teachers of English?
Yeah, sure. There's a lot of things I can touch upon, but I think one thing that's important is to remember that languages are not about being perfect, but about communication. And so even, for example, I'm learning Japanese, and I know my Japanese is far from perfect, but sometimes in order for me to actually grow and learn, I need to use it. I need to make mistakes, which I do a lot in Japanese, but that is what will help me improve, especially my speaking and listening. And so I encourage teachers to use English in their classes, even if they feel like it's not going to be perfect. Encourage their students to use English, even if it's not going to be perfect, and accept that mistakes are a part of language learning.
What great advice. I know mistakes really help us get to that next level because it allows us to take those risks that we need to become better and better in our language study. Great advice for those teachers.
Yeah, thank you. And what about you? What advice do you have?
I think I'm going to give my advice to the students since you did such a good job with the teachers. Okay, so for students, I want to really encourage you to focus on practicing pronunciation. And I know that you do a lot of grammar study in the classroom, but really focus on pronunciation. People often think of Japanese and English pronunciation differences as R and L or L. Those sounds are really hard for Japanese people, or TH. But I want to ask you to put those aside for a minute. And I want you to look at the vowels, students, because the vowels of Japanese are very simple. It's only a, I, u, e, o. But in English, you have a, I, e, a, right? So you have a wide variety of vowels, and it really is a big challenge. But in the beginning, from the start, if you can really try, even if you're a little bit embarrassed, go aside in your room and just try to make some of these sounds. There are so many good online resources that show you how the mouth should be shaped to work on some of these vowel sounds. But I guarantee you, if you can increase the number of vowels that you feel comfortable using and saying, people will understand your English so much more, and your confidence will grow, and you'll be willing to take the risks that we just talked about. So that is my advice to you, students. Really pay attention to those vowels and work on them. It's hard work, but it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, that's a great piece of advice. I think vowel pronunciation is something that is often overlooked, but is so important in being able to speak English.
Exactly. Yeah. Gosh, it was so nice to talk to you today. Thank you so much for having this conversation.
Yeah, thank you too, Carleen. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing many more students and teachers as we work together in Japan. So thank you.